Yes. Yes, I know. I know. It's so exciting. It's the best thing ever. Right. Yes. Since sliced bread. Auntie. Yes, Auntie. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts on the www, which is the World Wide Web. Listen, I've got to go. I'm actually recording right now. Hello. It's me, Mrs. Kasha Davis, and I want to welcome you back to Auntie. We have been having a marvelous time bringing in the movers, the shakers, the moneymakers. And today is a day that ends in Y. And it's a day that thrills me because I have known this gentleman for a while, and I'm so excited that they're here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Tayler Mayde. Hi.
Hey, how's it going? I love this phone thing.
Have you ever used a phone like this before?
I've seen them.
You've seen them. I was going to say you're
with them.
I was going to say you probably played with them. You were born in probably I didn't want to say the year because it's up to you. Do you want to say what year?
93.
93. The year I graduated college and married a woman. Okay.
Oh, well,
so that's a whole nother episode. Okay. Well, look if you push the button right there on the phone, we can hang it up and go right on. Look at that. Push that button right there, hang it up, and we're hands-free.
Hands-free.
Keep your hands to yourself. I am so excited that you're here.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for letting me join.
Of course. And, there are a lot of people out in the world, in the LGBTQ plus community, in the straight community, whoever's listening, who may have never been exposed to a drag king.
Well, I'm glad to be there first.
Right?
There's so many of us, and we come in so many different shapes, sizes, and aesthetics. It's fantastic to see this king community just blow up.
It's blowing up.
It is blowing up.
Finally.
Right.
Now, I have had the privilege, the honor, the excitement of teaching a course out at SUNY Brockport.
Okay.
And in my research, I have all this information where I'm going back, and drag kings have been a part of the drag world forever.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that isn't necessarily the case that I would have thought. I mean, there was a part of me and my ignorance where I was like, oh, drag kings are sort of a newer thing that people are getting into drag. And tell us about your journey. Tell us about what made you decide you wanted to do drag. Tell us about the beginning stages.
Well, I decided to become a drag king. Well, actually, I just went out one night to one of the local clubs here.
Yeah. Which one was it?
Tilt. Yeah. Back in the day.
Yeah.
Let's see. I was in high school.
Oh my gosh.
And my birthday's in February, so I turned 18 a lot sooner than a lot of my friends. It was before I graduated. And I just went out, and I knew about drag queens. I knew that they had a show at Tilt, so let's go out, hang out. And I saw a drag king there. And I'm like, wait. You're telling me that I could do this? Hold on a second. So that's where that kind of started. And watching.
Do you remember who it was?
Ryder Strong.
Okay.
Yes. Dancing away, doing some Chris Brown. And I was like, I can do that. I want to do that. So I created my drag persona, Tayler Mayde, and just kind of went from there. And we did Fresh Meat Fridays. And March of 2012 was my first debut.
Oh my gosh.
And from then on, I just went up from there.
So now, how did you get the name Tayler Mayde? Because for me, my name is Kasha, first pet, first street. So Kasha is an angry white poodle from Scranton, Pennsylvania. And Davis is a boring street in Scranton, Pennsylvania, because I'm a basic bitch, is really what it comes down to. And then the missus, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a married lady. So that's how I came up with my name. Now, there's so many different ways that you can come up with the name. How did you come up with Tayler Mayde?
Funny story. So before I transitioned, and I have no problem disclosing this, my birth name was Tayler. I started performing before I started my transition, and I went and I remember telling my mom that I'm going to be a drag king, and I think I'm going to call myself Just in Time. And my mom looked at me and goes, you are too, insert whatever swear word you want, ADHD to pay attention to somebody calling you Justin. Everybody's going to hate you because you're just going to keep walking because that's not your name. Why don't you use Tayler Mayde and spell it all crazy like you like to do? Because at the time we were watching the spin-off shows for Flavor of Love,
Yeah.
and it was I Love New York. One of the guys on there was given a name Tayler Mayde because he was very prim and proper. So my mom's like, why don't you do Tayler Mayde and just spell it differently, because at least you'll answer to people when they call you. So that's pretty much where that came from.
Right.
And I remember my first drag pictures, I was very prim and proper. I had the different colored contact eyes, and it just fit.
Yeah.
So I spelled it differently. Kind of bites me now, but
I love it.
Yes.
Now, what I'm pulling from that story that you just shared is that your mom was a part of the process.
absolutely. She gave me my birth name, and she gave me my drag name.
Yes, which is incredible because, you hear a lot of stories where their parents are having a difficult time supporting their children, and whether it's in the transition to do drag. I mean, my mother, when I would go home, she would be like, did you want to take some of this makeup for your friends? She would never, it was always some sassy way of really not accepting me, both as a drag queen, but as a gay man. Tell me about your childhood and coming to this place where you have this, was the support always there? How did you get to that place as a family?
My mom story is awesome, and she has always been one of my biggest fans and supporters through everything that I've done. But the story it's actually interesting because I came out freshman year of high school as bisexual, and then it quickly transitioned to as a lesbian at the time for my entire high school career, and I felt supported. My mom came to my first drag shows, everything like that, and then I started my transition and changed my pronouns and the name that I was going to be going by. And at first, my mom didn't accept that. It was very difficult throughout that whole process, but eventually, just like I was transitioning, my mom also had a transition right alongside me, and there was a lot of education and then a lot of conversation. Because a lot of the times I feel like parents have that resistance to their child because they feel like they don't understand what it's like to feel like that, as well as lack of education. And lack of education, I feel, breeds that fear and that resistance piece. So I had to sit and I had to talk with my mom a lot and just kind of let her navigate it however she needed to. And it was interesting because then I actually wound up getting pregnant with my first child I wouldn't say the middle, but like I was in my transition and on testosterone and things like that. So around all of that, my mom came around, and now like she'd be out on the corner, fist in the air, trans pride. She's sitting there, she's having conversations with other parents and other people, spreading that education piece and that support. And that's what I like to tell a lot of my friends and other trans people. Like your parents have to transition right alongside you, and your job at that moment is not to give that resistance back,
Right.
but just like let them figure it out too, provide them education as they're going, like what because at the end of the day, when my mom found out that like I was happy and I wasn't struggling with mental health, and like I felt authentic and comfortable in my own skin for the first time in my life, and I was happy, that was that moment. And my mom was like, hey, all right, my kid's happy now.
Right.
So we can go with that.
Well, I think that's the beauty of the message that you're providing as you share that story, is that your mom struggled, didn't understand, but was willing to be educated and to learn on their own and together. But also the thing that streams right through your story that brings me a little teary-eyed is that mom said, I love you, and I want you to be happy. And now, as time goes on, you've got mom cheering on the sidelines and mom assisting you. I mean, this is the beautiful message for parents out there that you're providing, and that your mom provides as that example of love. Because regardless of what it is in life, I'm sure now as a parent.
Yeah.
Right? You can understand. 2.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Now, how old are the kids?
So my oldest just turned 7.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, and she stands about this tall on me.
Right.
And I'm only 5'2", so it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And my youngest is 20 months right now.
Oh my gosh.
She'll be 2 in June.
Right. So you've got the responsibilities of a parent.
Mm-hmm.
You're running around, work, life story, and tell us about your title.
I am your current reigning Mr. Gay United States MI 2023.
Amazing. So now what went into this preparation for this pageant?
A lot of time and effort.
Not to interrupt, to interrupt, because the pageant world is in and of itself like a drag race experience. I mean, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of advertising, there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of prep. So let the listeners know a little bit about what went into this experience with the pageant.
Well, a lot of my drag career is that connection piece. I connect to a lot of people, and I try to instill that in a lot of the kings that I work with. And that connection piece could even be simply as just having a conversation with somebody or supporting them with unwavering intention. When I met some of the entertainers that I actually had set up to be a judge at the prelim that I was actually a promoter for the US of A system in April of last year, I met these amazing kings that came to be that judge. And then it was just that connection piece afterwards. And they validated and they listened and they were like, yo, you've been doing drag for this amount of time and these are all the amazing things that you're doing with the community. Why don't you actually go out and do something a little bit different? But that's inevitably going to help support and then boost you even further. So I'm going on 12 years of performing now, and I can't even believe that. I know. I haven't done any pageant systems or any titles or crowns or win anything, right? And I needed something a little bit different. So I developed the concepts for the categories. I looked at the system as a whole to see where I would fit, and I just kind of went with it. A lot of the times I feel like I got so stuck in just coasting and being on that plateau, and I wasn't really going anywhere. And I wanted to be able to, hang up my crown eventually and retire from drag eventually. That was something to kind of show for it. And I got a bunch of my kings together. I had a whole team. They were amazing. The support that I have here at home, I honestly wouldn't have been able to do what I did at the pageant level without anyone here. And that goes right back to that connection piece. You can do everything when you've got a group of people behind you and those supporters. So I had my prelim in August, and I was able to qualify to go to nationals in November, and I wound up winning.
Yes, I remember. Well, I remember you were supposed to do a brunch together.
Yep.
We were supposed to do a brunch together, and I was excited to have you a part of that. It was for Recovery Fitness, and
I was so excited to do that.
It's going to happen again.
Yes.
But I remember you were, oh my gosh, that's I think it was the same day or something of the pageant.
Yeah, it would have been on the Sunday, which would have been the finals.
Finals.
Yeah.
And then we found out through social media that you won. And so excited. And you touch on things that you've done in the community, and you touch on the Rochester community and the drag king community being supportive. Share with us a little bit about the type of things that you've done within the community, advocacy work or community work that you've done, and tell us a little bit about the drag king life here in Rochester.
Well, man, these kings, let me tell you, I've learned so much from these baby kings, or I call them cubs. So I was running a show with one of my best friends and my drag son, Valentino Rose.
Yes.
And we were running the Lion King show. And there was a weekly show at Roar, which was one of the local venues here. And once a month, we did the Cub competition. Cub competition, brand new entertainers, brand new kings that come in ready to get on stage.
Right.
And we took a lot of that time and effort pouring into these new kings and really rebranding and rebuilding the king community here, because it wasn't the best when we came back, especially from COVID. We lost a couple venue spaces and shows and things like that. I remember even just starting out my drag career, and it was very dog eat dog, very kind of like gatekeeper,
right?
No brotherhood, no love, no support within our king community. So me and Valentino, when we were offered that show, we wanted to do something different. We wanted to change the game. We wanted to make this a place where we can thrive and we can support and we can connect and just flourish. And so that Cub competition piece, we pour into these kings. I literally have them come over to my house. I don't know you, but like, you're going to be a king? Cool. Let me teach you what I know.
Right.
And it's at the point now, like, every month that we were doing it, the former competitors always out at the next competition.
The community is, the family is growing.
Yep.
The brotherhood is there. The support for one another. And I'm sure that there's common experiences that you can share as you're preparing the performance aspect about, home life and what it's like in their world. And that is so beautiful. I'll tell you, I have watched over the years, I've watched you grow. I've watched the Roar community celebrate drag kings. And there are drag kings that are not celebrated around the world. You keep a positive attitude about it, though. And I truly admire that, because positivity in that face of adversity is really what propels your career, I believe. And it's difficult because there are people I've literally heard people say, well, they're just not as entertaining. Well, then, yeah, I'm glad you got mad, right?
Yeah.
Those are getting hot in here. We're going to fight. We're going to wrestle. No, but that is very frustrating to hear. And who is somebody that you look to in the drag king world as somebody that's like, oh my gosh, you admire and you watch and you maybe emulate or you learn from?
There's so many. And honestly, like, my first and foremost, like, it will be every single Cub that has come across the stage, because even though that they're the baby kings, right, and they're just learning, just watching them take information and just do it, and then watching their success is literally the most amazing thing ever. And that makes me want to keep going too. If I can have these conversations and watch somebody be successful off of that, I'm going to keep going.
You're a leader. You're a parent. You're a counselor. I love this. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, we got Pucker Up. He's one of the ones that I connected with to get into the Gay United States pageantry system. There's Riley Poppyseed, of course, Landon Sider. There's so many. And then also, like, from before I really started, Wins. He was from here. He did a lot of Michael Jackson. He's out in California, and he's an actor now.
He's an actor. I know. And I think I met up with Wins once out in LA, but we'll stay in touch on social media. Thank God for social media, right? Because we can still stay in touch with each other's lives. And so, yes, I think that is so frustrating to hear about the entertainment, judgment aspect. But I bet you it fuels a fire and makes you get out on stage and want to show people, like, hello.
We are here and we're fierce.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely. And it's crazy to see too, is like some of these kings that, they do full makeup, very theatrical things like I don't know how to do.
Right.
But even though I might not understand that style of drag, I know somebody who does. So like me being a resource broker, getting them connected to other people who can help, make them more successful or feel that bond, feel that brotherhood. That's huge. There's so many different types of drag kings, and they all deserve to be seen and like validated and supported too. Yes. My style of drag is definitely different than some others, but we're all equally just as fierce and ready to, take stage. So
I can relate. I encounter some of this. I've always encountered this sort of judgment in that, well, you're too campy, or you're not doing the top 40 music, Mrs. Kasha Davis, or there's too much comedy. Get up there and be pretty. And I'm like, this is what I this is what I respond to do. This is what I want to do. I'm celebrating the different women in my life, but I'm also celebrating the fact that as a child, I was discouraged to be any form of feminine. And so I get to be Mrs. Kasha Davis, which is both masculine and feminine and all of it. And so I understand some of that judgment from the other peers and performers. Okay, so we touched on recovery fitness.
Yeah.
And if anybody's listening, they're going to know that, recovery fitness is a fabulous place in Rochester that encourages people to come in for a different form of recovery from drugs and alcohol. And you're going to go through fitness, you're going to go through hikes, you're going to have peer counseling. And it's no surprise in my story. I will say that I'm this summer, knock on wood, I'll be 9 years sober, one day at a time. Woo! And everything good in my life has happened in this sobriety journey.
Same.
Okay. I didn't.
Same.
Yeah.
May, knock on wood, I will be celebrating 5 years of sobriety.
Amazing.
So, yeah. And I'm a certified peer advocate myself.
Yes.
So I do the peer counseling piece. And really everything just within these last almost 5 years, especially with my drag, I can only give it back to the fact that I've been sober. And I have a lot of conversations at the clubs and these, establishments that are probably not on paper conducive to sobriety, but that's where everybody's at and that's where everyone's struggling. And I openly, there are times that I had a necklace that had one of my sobriety coins on it and I would wear it on stage. And people would ask me, how do you stay sober in these environments? And I just sit there and I have conversation after conversation with people. How
I bet that, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I bet you that conversation in itself, that they're coming to you, helps you to keep sober because you are a helper inherently. Yep. You want to help people, and just the fact that somebody would come to you is a part of the gift of sobriety because it helps to keep us sober, right?
Yep, service keeps you sober.
Right. Well, so a peer advocate, and we did that show together where it was I'm not exactly sure if it wasn't a fundraiser, but it was a show for a counseling group that we did together.
Yep.
And I was I was in tears, just teary-eyed watching you and watching this journey because we all have our struggles and we've all had our journey, but to be there, what made me feel so good was just how proud you were to share your sobriety, to share your talent, to share this other, the performance aspect of who you are. And when I started to think about people that I wanted to have on the podcast, I immediately thought of you. And I wanted to bring, I definitely wanted to bring some of our drag kings in Rochester, but then also as we think about zooming from different parts of the world and country. But one of the things that I love is that you and I both share the common interest of being open, loud and proud, not just about who we are, how we live, but our sobriety.
Right.
And
you're one of the only ones that I've known, especially locally. And it wasn't recent until I actually started connecting with more people outside of New York because of the title that I have and have the opportunity to connect with everybody else. Now I'm seeing other drag performers say that, hey, I'm sober too, and it's possible. You were literally the only other person that I knew up until just a couple months ago, really.
Right.
So staying visible, I feel like, for our community in sobriety as well, it's huge. And that's when I was working with my patients as a peer advocate, especially within the community, touching base on that, we... Our history, even just as LGBT community, is rooted in the only safe spaces were those bar atmospheres long ago, right? And then nobody talks about it afterwards.
Right.
And it's just that constant, we got to go get messed up constantly. But then when it becomes a problem and it starts affecting our lives, nobody's there to talk about it. It's very hush-hush. There's so much just in that I could go for hours.
Well, yeah. And what I think happens is that for me, I remember it being like, oh, I have my people and they happen to be in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you're drinking and maybe, there can be drugs involved, whatever the case may be. But you're doing this to anesthetize the fact that there's a part of you that's happy that you found this family and this community.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I was disowned. I was shunned. My parents, we have a very dramatic family. We have the Ukrainian, Italian kind of, this wasn't good. And it was something for me that I would gravitate towards to just numb out. Mm-hmm. And then if you should ever decide to not drink, then you're sort of made fun of within like your circle of people that use. And it just became this vicious cycle for me. Mm-hmm. And we were able to relate back and forth to each other. We were able to share and support one another. Mm-hmm. And I can say that, yes, that there specifically with our program of recovery, it's meant to be anonymous. Mm-hmm. And nothing in my life has ever been anonymous. And when I came out, right? So finally I was like, I don't relate to this life of anything in a closet anymore. I am out loud and proud. And I understand that the idea is that if you and I are sitting here talking about our sobriety, that if in fact there's a relapse, somebody watching us could say, oh, see, that program doesn't work, or it's a waste. They couldn't do it. I can't either. And so what I like to say then is that for me, I have now tools in my toolbox that are so important to me on a daily basis that I must do the work. I must, for me, I went to outpatient counseling. I attend regular meetings. I meditate. I pray to a higher power. I understand that I have things like that I need to do. I have to do readings on a daily basis. My alcoholism wants me to forget real fast. So there are things that I need to do. And those things are as simple as that gratitude list, are as simple as remembering to, hey, did I have breakfast? And did I sleep enough?
Yep.
And then reaching out to one another. And so all of these things I must do on the daily basis. So when I say that I'm sober and it sounds as if like maybe there's a bit of a brag in there, it's work that I do on a daily basis. And I know you're shaking your head. Are there any other tools that you feel like, that are important to your sobriety that you've learned along the way that maybe I didn't mention, or?
Really one of the biggest tools that I utilize is that I'll tell on myself. If I'm feeling like I'm having a cravings, I'm telling somebody.
Yes.
I'm not holding on to that. That's what my alcoholism and addiction does for me, is that literally if I just keep to myself, if I don't talk, I don't reach out, I don't communicate, it's just going to eat me away and it's going to bring me right back. Part of the reason why I also I pour into these new kings and I just pour into everybody that needs support or some way. That's part of that too. I feel like if, as much as I love drag and being in those environments to perform my sobriety, it'll take just one moment for me to just go right back to it. Because a lot of my addiction thrived in those environments. I was performing constantly in the very beginning of those, handful of years. And I was to myself. I didn't care about anybody else besides my money, what I was getting next, and continuing that.
Yeah.
Now I'm talking to people, I'm connecting with all these brand new kings, I'm pouring into them, I'm supporting them, I'm doing different things for the community, and that keeps my sobriety going. It also allows me to still do what I love to do. So it's like my Cubs keep me sober too.
Right.
And I can keep getting them on their journey to the success that they want to have. And that, I think it's just a beautiful circle, all around.
They're a part of your fellowship.
Yeah.
They're a part of your family. How do you balance performing a career and being a parent? I mean, they're both, 7 is not that old. I'm sure 7 can help. I remember when I was 7, I used to be like, I'll help, but this is two little ones performing, maintaining real life. And how do you do it? And staying sober. That's the job in itself.
It takes a village. I've got an amazing support system. My family's there. My children's fathers are very active in their lives as well. And really it's just, again, that communication piece. If I've got a show or something like that, I'm communicating it to the other fathers. And also to one of my exes, he's a drag performer as well. So they understand.
Yes.
So they understand the performing aspect. So what we wind up doing to kind of make it easy for the both of us so that we can still perform is that we, adjust. I'll do shows on the weekends that I don't have one of my kids, and then they do it like that.
Right.
So it's a lot of that communication piece. There's a lot of family support, everything like that. And my kids have hundreds of aunts and uncles that love them.
Right.
And, any of the drag events that they can come to, they will come alongside me.
I love that they come to the shows.
I've had my oldest on stage with me during our Pride festivals.
Yep.
Up there dancing with me. She's done. We did a Pokemon number together one time.
Gosh.
She was my Pikachu.
Yep.
And they're both of them are little dancers themselves, and they're ready to get on stage anytime.
It's got to be so cool to just be growing up in this performance family and seeing you being your authentic self out there on stage, being celebrated. Now, our youngest, probably around that 8 to 10 years old age, came to a show with myself and Aggie Doon. And as you know, Aggie and I, not only are we older, but we like our older divas, right? So we're doing these impersonations. They don't know one of them. They don't know who Judy Garland is. They don't know who Joan Rivers is. And so I did this Joan Rivers section, and I'm telling jokes, and we were out in Syracuse. And I think I told this story with Mr. Davis when he was on, but I'll tell it again because it's worth hearing twice. Our youngest daughter was like, every time you tell a joke, it's like cricket. And by the way, it might be nice if you started to do some updated music, some new stuff. So do your kids make suggestions of what you should be doing on stage?
The youngest, no, because she's just learning to speak. But
of course, right.
my 7-year-old, is right now she really wants me to do a Bluey number.
Okay.
So, but she also, we did the Pokemon thing. I love Pokemon, so we did that. I think
so. Not really.
Not anything that you would hear on the radio as of yet. But there are when we're at home and just jamming out to music, we're cleaning or something like that, and she's like, "Oh, Daddy, you should do this song." And I'm like, "I got it."
Right, because listen.
She likes to help me rhinestone stuff. So she's working on pants. I just gave her a bunch of her own rhinestones, all the glue and everything, and a pair of plain white pants for her to just go ham on. And she's like, all right, when I'm done with these, you got to wear them on stage.
Right.
And she's done a hat for me, which I've worn before. So we're working on a whole outfit.
So special. That's family affair.
Mm-hmm.
Now, have you ever done a drag story hour?
No.
We might have to think about having you attend since you've got the little one.
Sign me up.
Right? We could figure out a way to do that together because I've been doing that at Blackfriars Theater. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what would you say is your biggest hope at this point for yourself?
For myself?
As a performer, as a person?
The biggest hope that I have for myself, I want to be able to continue reaching out and connecting people, especially the Kings, and I want to be able to spread that love, across the country, because there are a lot of King communities that just don't have the resources or the networking, or they're used to that same, how I was or my community was in the very beginning, dog eat dog gatekeeper thing.
Right.
They're still in that. So if I do what I've done here, and that unwavering connection and support right off the bat, that's what's going to keep our legacy going as a King community as a whole. So I want to be able to still connect that, make those pathways, and reach out to everybody who's willing to jump on that.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this as a auntie, is that you have the natural leadership and the desire to counsel and care. And previous to our recording today, you're talking about like, oh, you're trying to like figure out some things out with regard to your career, your 9 to 5, we'll call it. I think sometimes the universe says, this is not it, but maybe there's a way to take the drag and incorporate the two, and maybe there's something that can be done there. So like, you know, I think in our sobriety journeys, we both have learned to be open to those things, to listen to the universe, to understand that, oh goodness, this seems really bad, and this is changing, but maybe this is actually the beginning of something really, really good. And you, regardless of what's going on, why I've gravitated to you, you know, socially or when we perform together, is that you just maintain this positive attitude through the adversity. And what a gift that you can give.
Thank you.
Now, the next question, what would be your biggest hope for your children?
For my children? For them to be just as fierce as their parents, to get out there and then advocate and support and just connect with people, you know? And, you know, my kids have a transgender father who gave birth to them, and their other father, you know, are gay men, cis gay men. So them going into their lives and being able to be like, yeah, those are both my dads. Like, they are both my dads.
Right.
It's not, oh, I'm only one of them.
Right.
And then just being able to just, again, connect with other kids or that might be also within an LGBT family setting, and just being able to support and do all that and just be fierce as, I don't know if we're allowed to swear, whatever.
Sure, go for it.
Fierce as fuck. So they already got the sass.
We will, but I don't think we do.
You know, they've got the sass already. So
I love that. There's so much more to come, and you are just living your most authentic life. It brings me to tears. It brings me so much joy to see you. Yes, there's some struggle. There's some difficult times, but you're not only fixing it for yourself, you're celebrating, you know, the people in your life, your mother, and going forward and saying, you know what? I'm going to help my community. I'm going to help others. So truly, the best is yet to come. I'm excited. And we need to get you to do some more of our brunches too.
Yes, sign me up.
Yes, exactly. And shame on me for not having you participate in more of them. But you know what? We're here today. We're going to move forward. We're going to do that. So I will own that. Okay. Now the other thing I like to own is dad jokes, our dad jokes. So I have my little box of dad jokes here, and I'm wondering. I'll go first, and it's just you get to read the joke. You don't have to. Just I want to hear the delivery. I think they're the funniest things ever. So, okay, this one. What was the name of the first potato that orbited the Earth? The Sputnik. I don't know. This is cute. Okay,
love it.
Your turn.
Gotta get my glasses.
Uh-oh.
How do you make a tissue dance?
How?
Put a little boogie in it.
See? Right? The way you did it. Yeah. Put a little boogie in it. Okay. Why did the handyman only do items 1, 3, and 5 on the list?
I don't know.
He only does odd jobs. And I hate math. Okay.
Where did the peg-legged pirate go for breakfast?
Where?
IHOP.
Terrible. That is terrible.
It was on here. It wasn't me.
You didn't write it, and it was there. Okay. Thank you so much for coming today. I'm so excited to be here with you, and you're just shining and sparkling. And I was also telling you that I have a pair of sparkly sneakers that I thought would be great for you, but you have the tiniest feet, and I have the biggest feet. So we're going to see if any of your other drag cubs can use these. We're going to figure it out. And again, thank you so much. We're going to do shows in the future. And if you have not shared Auntie with your friends, please do so. Let everybody know the fun we're having here with Auntie at Roxbox Studios. And I want to thank you so much for listening. I hope you have the best day. And remember, there's always time for kindness.